the time has finally come for me to discuss the third and final book in the Folk of the Air series, The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. This book came out last Tuesday, and I obviously got it the day it came out because I needed this baby, and I read it in 2 days, which for me is super fast, but it's been a couple days since I finished the book because I just needed some time to just gather my thoughts before I filmed this video. And now I am ready to discuss all things The Queen of Nothing, which it's so weird that I'm holding it and that I get to talk about this book. But I overall really liked The Queen of Nothing. I don't have a lot of complaints for it. Like, it definitely wasn't bad, but I will say it wasn't as good as The Wicked King. The Wicked King is, wow, top-notch, fantastic, but that doesn't mean this wasn't a bad book, because it wasn't. It was just very different from what I was expecting. If you have not read The Queen of Nothing yet and you do not want to be spoiled, I would leave right now because there are going to be major spoilers in this video. I mean, this is the final book. Like, what would you expect? I'm gonna be spoiling a bunch of stuff. So go read the book, come back here so we can discuss together. So try not spoiling people. Alrighty, so The Queen of Nothing. Okay, deep breath. Okay, let's dive in. So I'm first gonna talk about the plot to this book because I honestly don't have much to say for it because it was just fine. Basically what's going on in The Queen of Nothing at first is, you know, Jude is exiled and she's like, oh my god, how am I gonna get back to Elfheim? And then Terran shows up, it's like, hey, I murdered my husband, can you go to Elfheim as me so I like won't get accused of murder and die? So Jude does that, she comes back to Elfheim, there's Carden and Jude tension, which was 10 out of 10, and all of a sudden there's this prophecy happening with Carden, and there's like a war with Maddox, and it was just a lot going on. I enjoyed the plot of this book, but it wasn't like I'm on the edge of my seat kind of thing. Like, I surprisingly wasn't really stressing out. Like, of course I was stressing out, but it wasn't as big as when I read The Wicked King. Like, with that book, I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? I had to keep reading to find out what was gonna happen, and things were just flying through the roof, and I was like, oh my god, like, it was just crazy. And then when reading this, I was like, oh, okay. Like, I wasn't a big fan of the prophecy in this book because I'm not a big fan of prophecies in general. I feel like prophecies are just for the Percy Jackson books, and then in anything else, I'm just like, this makes no absolute sense. And the prophecy in this, it was just, I don't know, it was just odd, and it was kind of thrown in, and I was like, what's going on? I also feel like the prophecy went by really fast. Like, we learned about it in the beginning, then we didn't talk about it for a while, then all of a sudden it came back, and then bam, Carden's a snake, and then he's just chilling as a snake for a while, and then all of a sudden he's not a snake anymore, and I was like, what just happened? But I mean, everything was fine at the end. Like, Carden becomes human again, and the prophecy's fulfilled, and everything's fine, and I was like, thank god. But honestly, I could have done without the prophecy. I would have liked to see something else, but it's fine. Now I want to move on to the characters because I got a lot of things to say about the characters. First, I actually want to talk about Terran because girl had an interesting storyline in this book. So we all knew going into this book that Terran revealed that she had killed Locke because that was in an excerpt. And we finally get the answer as to why she did it. And basically what happened was Terran got pregnant by Locke, and boy didn't react well to it, plus he was just being a terrible husband, and so Terran just stabbed him in the throat. When I read that, I was like, oh my god, she like actually did it. Because if you watched my last video making final theories for this book, I talked about this, and I was like, you know, Terran killing Locke like sounds just weird, like it doesn't make any sense. So I was very interested to find out what happened. And so now knowing that Terran actually murdered her husband honestly makes me like her more, because Locke was a terrible being, and for her to, you know, have enough of him and just stab him, like, you go, girl. I definitely think that helped Terran redeem herself, but also Terran in this book, she's just a good sister, you know, helping Jude out, and I really liked seeing them become friends again. And honestly, no hate to Terran anymore. I like her. I think she redeemed herself. Also, I have to take a moment to talk about Terran and the ghost, because there is obviously something up with them and I want to know what. In this book, the ghost comes back, which honestly, I forgot about him. So when he showed up, I was like, who are you? And then I was like, oh, you're the guy who betrayed us. But the ghost, he pulls through, comes back on our side, he reveals, you know, he was being controlled by Locke and Maddox, and I was like, of course. So, you know, the ghost, we good. He is also redeemed. But throughout this book, I would see lines like, Terran sat next to the ghost, or the ghost was watching Terran, or something like that. And I obviously would notice, because I notice every little detail, and I would read these lines and be like, what is going on between you two? There are obviously some little sparks going on between Terran and the ghost, and I don't know how to feel, because never in a million years would I ship Terran and the ghost, but you know, I'm kind of here for it. I am intrigued. I want to know what's up with them. I definitely want to explore that ship. So, you know, if Holly Black could just write a novella about them, that would be highly appreciated. Next, I quickly want to talk about the Roach and the bomb, because again, I forgot who they were when they showed up, and then I was like, oh my god, you're a part of the Court of Shadows. Oh my god, I love you. I was so scared that the Roach was going to die. And when the bomb was wearing morning clothes, I was like, wait. The Roach isn't dead. Like, no, like, the Roach cannot die. And when he came back to life, man, I was so happy. And I loved it when he sees the mom and he's like, I love you. Like, I've always loved you. And he says her real name, and I was like, my heart. I would also love a novella about those two, because they are so underrated and they did not get enough time together in this book. So, Holly Black, you better start writing these novellas ASAP. And now, I'm going to talk about our two main characters, Jude and Carden, and their relationship. So first, I'm going to look at Jude as an individual, and I loved Jude in this book. I thought she was great, and she really proved how just strong she is and how she will take anybody down. One of my favorite Jude moments in this book is when Lady Asha, aka Carter's mom, who I also forgot, but Lady Asha can joke, she calls for Jude to come and visit her, and they, you know, they're talking, and then Jude leaves and she turns around and says to Lady Asha, oh, by the way, next time I expect you to bow. And I was like, you savage! That moment was so good, because yeah, she's like still getting used to being queen or whatever, and yeah, she was like following Lady Asha's orders, but like, she made sure Lady Asha knew who was in charge, because it's Jude, because she's the High Queen. And then we have Carden, who, my evil, angsty king boy, I love him so much. In the beginning, I was pretty mad at him, just because I wanted to know why he exiled Jude. So when he showed up, I was like, hey, good to see you, but like, I need some answers. But then Jude and Carden go have a private talk, and as I read this scene, this was like probably the only scene in this book that actually had me on the edge of my seat, because I had waited so long to find out why Carden exiled Jude. And Carden revealed that the reason why he did it was for her. he simply just need to make some treaties with the Undersea so they could have an alliance. And then, you know, he made her queen, and then he exiled her. And it was just this whole big riddle. And the answer was, she could have pardoned herself. When I read that Jude could have pardoned herself, I was like, you got to be kidding me right now. I stressed for months about this whole exile thing, only to come to find out that it was just this little riddle. But then it hit me that I am the dumbest person in the world for not realizing that, because it makes so much sense. Jude is queen. When you're a queen or king or whatever, you can pardon anybody, including yourself. So the fact that I never put that together, I am literally so stupid. I must say that that was so well played by Holly Black, because I never saw that coming. I was like, you gotta be kidding me right now. So honestly, Holly, wow, well done. So after finding that out, Cardan obviously skyrocketed and came back into my good graces, because it was for Jude. It was for Jude, and now I can go die in peace. But what was so interesting was that, you know, after Jude found that out, things didn't go back to the way they were. Like, there was still tension between Jude and Cardan, and, you know, they weren't, like, kissing or anything, and I was like, guys, come on, just make out already. But then, you know, chapter 21 happened, and that was so good, because they finally started kissing, and I was so happy, because before I was super depressed because Jude was waiting for her man to come to bed, and then she woke up and he wasn't there, and I was like, Cardan, I love you, but also you suck. They were going back to the room together, and she told him this, and he was like, I'm here now. And then they started kissing against a wall, and I was like, yeah, let's go. I love that scene so much, because it was so different from the other time they had sex, because that was like, you know, they still were saying like they hated each other and everything, but this one, although they didn't say I love you, you could definitely tell that they do love each other. And then in the next chapter, Cardan actually said I love you, and I was like, oh my god. Cardan literally was like, Jude, I love you, you have my heart. And then he just left, and then he turned into a snake, and I was like, excuse me, how dare you? I know I said I didn't like the prophecy and snake thing for being too fast, but I also kind of did, because all I wanted was for Cardan to be human, so Jude could tell him that she loves him too. So honestly, that going by really fast kind of worked out, because then Jude told him how she felt, and oh my god, it was so precious. But I have to say that even though I loved all of this happy and cute moments between Jude and Cardan, it wasn't what I was expecting. I'm not gonna lie, I was really prepared for Jude and Cardan not to end up together, and for this book to have a really dark and heartbreaking ending, because these books are dark. Like, the end of The Wicked King, like, that was so crazy. So I was expecting something like that. So the fact that Jude and Cardan are together, they're happy, they're in love, like, it just wasn't what I was expecting. And it's so weird for me to be complaining about a happy ending, because, like, happy endings are good, and they barely happen in books. So, like, I shouldn't be complaining about anything, but I am, just because how this series is set up and how Jude and Cardan are as characters, like, I was just expecting, you know, some dark and bad stuff to happen. So it's just very odd. But I'm gonna stop myself right there, because if I keep going, we could be here for a long time. So yeah, those were my thoughts and feels on The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. Overall, I thought this was a great finale, even though a lot of unexpected stuff happened, I still thought that it was really good and that Holly wrapped up everything really well. I hope you all enjoyed this review. Please let me know in the comments down below, what did you think of the Queen of Nothing? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Just share all your thoughts and feels in the comments section down below. Thank you all so much for watching this review, and I am Courtney, and I'll see you all next time with a new video soon, so I will see you then, so bye!